When was the last time you were truly bored? And I mean actually bored. Not scrolling your phone, not listening to music, not watching Netflix, just sitting there with nothing but your thoughts. If you can't remember, you're not alone. Most people today would literally rather shock themselves with electricity than sit alone with their thoughts for 15 minutes. That's not a joke. That's an actual Harvard scientific study. But here's what's crazy. By avoiding boredom at all costs, you're actually destroying your creativity, your ability to find meaning in life, and your mental health. I'm going to show you why boredom isn't your enemy. It's actually your secret weapon. Let me paint you a picture of modern life. You wake up and immediately grab your phone. You scroll while you eat breakfast, listen to podcasts while you commute, have music playing while you work, watch Netflix while you eat dinner, and fall asleep to YouTube videos. Sound familiar? We've created a world where every single moment of potential boredom is immediately filled with stimulation. We're terrified of being alone with our thoughts, so we built an entire ecosystem designed to distract us from ourselves. But here's the problem. We're not just avoiding boredom, we're avoiding the most important mental process our brains need to function properly. And the cost is higher than you think. I used to be exactly like this. I couldn't sit in silence for more than 30 seconds without reaching for my phone. I thought I was being productive, staying informed, maximizing my time, but I was actually making myself more anxious, less creative, and completely disconnected from what I actually wanted in life. But here's what nobody tells you about boredom. It's not actually the absence of activity. It's one of the most important activities your brain can engage in. When you're bored, your brain doesn't shut off. It switches into what neuroscientists call the default mode network, a state where your mind starts making connections, processing experiences, and literally rewiring itself for creativity and insight. Think of boredom like sleep for your conscious mind. Just like your body needs to rest and grow, your mind needs boredom to process, connect, and create. And just like sleep deprivation destroys your physical health, boredom deprivation is destroying your mental health. Let me share some research that will blow your mind. Scientists at Harvard did an experiment where they put people in a room for 15 minutes with nothing to do except think. The only other option was to press a button that would give them a painful electric shock. 67% of men and 25% of women chose to shock themselves rather than just sitting there and being bored. These were the same people who before the experiment said that they would pay money to avoid getting shocked. Think about that for a second. People would literally rather experience physical pain than mental boredom. We become so addicted to stimulation that the absence of it feels worse than actually suffering. When you're bored, your default mode network activates. This is a network of brain regions that become active when you're not focused on any specific task. And this is where the magic happens. First, your brain starts making connections. It takes all the information you've absorbed and starts linking it together in new ways. This is where creativity comes from. Not from consuming more content, but from giving your brain the space to connect the dots. Second, you start processing your experiences. Your brain reviews what's happened to you, what you've learned, and what it all means. This is how you develop wisdom and self-awareness. Third, you begin planning for the future. Neuroscientists call this autobiographical planning. Your brain starts thinking about your goals, your values, and where you want your life to go. But here's the key. None of this can happen when you're constantly consuming content. Your brain needs empty space to do this work. Just like you need empty space in your schedule to think about what's actually important. So if boredom is so important, why do we avoid it like the plague? And more importantly, what are we actually losing when we fill every moment with stimulation? You lose your creativity. There's a study where researchers gave people a boring task, reading phone book entries, and then ask them to come up with creative uses for a plastic cup. The people who did the boring tasks first came up with significantly more creative ideas than the control group. Why? Because boredom forces your mind to wander, and mind wandering is the foundation of creativity. When you're constantly consuming other people's ideas through social media, podcasts, and videos, you never give your own ideas space to emerge. You also lose touch with your true desires. When you're always distracted, you never have to confront the big questions. What do I actually want? What makes me happy? What's my purpose? These questions only surface when you're bored enough to think about them. I realized this in my own life. I was so busy consuming content about productivity and success that I never stopped to ask myself what success actually meant to me. It wasn't until I started embracing boredom that I figured out what I actually wanted to build. You lose the ability to be present. Constant stimulation trains your brain to always be looking for the next thing. You can't enjoy a sunset because you're thinking about the next TikTok video. You can't have a deep conversation because part of your mind is wondering what's happening on Instagram. You miss life signals. Boredom is often your brain's way of telling you that something in your life isn't working. Maybe you're in the wrong job, the wrong relationship, or pursuing the wrong goals. But if you immediately distract yourself every time you feel bored, you never get these important messages. But how do you actually practice it in a world designed to eliminate every moment of potential boredom? Don't try and go meditate for an hour on day one. Start with just 5 minutes of intentional boredom. Sit somewhere comfortable, put your phone in another room, and just exist. Don't try to think about anything specific. Just let your mind wander. The first few times will feel uncomfortable. That's normal. You're literally rewiring your brain to be okay with understimulation. Instead of scrolling while you're eating breakfast or drinking coffee in the morning, just do what you're actually doing. Look out the window, let your mind wander. While you're driving or walking, don't listen to music or podcasts. And I know it feels weird at first, but this is prime time for your brain to process and create. Whenever you're waiting in line or waiting for something, don't start looking at your phone, just stand there. Observe your surroundings, let your mind drift. And before bed, instead of falling asleep to Netflix or TV shows, spend 10 to 15 minutes just lying there with your thoughts. So one of my favorite practices during the day is take a 20 to 30 minute walk with no phone, no music, no podcasts, just you and your thoughts. That's where I get some of my best ideas during these walks because my brain finally has space to think. This is what some of the most successful people in the world do, and it's allowing your subconscious thoughts to come to you during this time. And there's nothing wrong with doing some mundane tasks like folding laundry and cleaning a bit. These are perfect opportunities for boredom. Instead of listening to something while you do them, just do them. Let your mind wander while your hands are busy. Even if you are making a lot of money and you usually outsource these tasks, it doesn't hurt to do them sometimes to just be bored during them. And a big one is the Sunday reset. Pick one day a week, I like Sundays, and have a few hours with minimal stimulation. No social media, no Netflix, no music, read a book, take a bath, go for a walk, or just sit there and think. This weekly reset helps you stay connected to yourself. What you can expect when you're doing this in week 1 is going to be some discomfort. The first week of embracing boredom will feel a little bit uncomfortable. You'll feel restless, anxious, maybe even a little bit depressed. This is normal. You're going through stimulation withdrawal. It's the same thing if you're drinking sodas all the time and you cut them off, or any other addiction that you had. You're going through withdrawal during this period. During week 2, it will actually be more of a breakthrough. You'll start noticing that you can focus better. You'll be present in conversations. You might start having ideas or insights that surprise you. And it's usually around week 3 where you'll start getting clarity on things that have been bothering you. Problems that seem complicated will have obvious solutions. You'll start understanding what you actually want, not what you think you should want. And after clarity around week 3, in week 4, you'll have creativity. After about a month, you'll notice your creativity exploding. You'll have more original thoughts, better solutions to problems, and a clear sense of direction in your life. And the most important thing out of all this is the long-term benefits. After practicing intentional boredom for several months, you'll find that you're less anxious and more at peace. You have better ideas and solutions. You're more decisive about what you want. You enjoy simple pleasures more. You're more present with friends and family. And you have a clear sense of purpose. And here's the truth. In a world that profits from your attention, choosing to be bored is a radical act. Every app, every platform, every piece of technology is designed to capture and hold your focus. By reclaiming your right to be bored, you're taking back control of your own mind. I recommend starting out, just find 10 minutes a day even to be intentional about being bored. Put the phone away, sit somewhere comfortable, and just let your mind wander. Don't try to be super productive during these times or solve any problems at all. Literally just sit there and exist. I promise you'll be surprised by what emerges when you give your brain permission to be unstimulated and let your subconscious thoughts come to you that you've been dwelling on for a long time. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe down below, and remember, the most successful people aren't the ones who consume the most content. They're the ones who create space for their own thoughts to emerge. Go out and start creating that space today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.